Wednesday, Valerie Hunt, RunRX, and thank you so much for participating in the RunRX Reboot that we had in October. And yes, we are going to leave it on the YouTube, so you can go through it at any time you want. So all 30 days are up on the YouTube, so at any point, if you want to get back into running, reset your running, add some more skill, strength, and self-care to your running, it's up there for you. Now, I did get some great feedback, so I'm gonna continue with the questions, and of course, there's always more content. I'm always posting new stuff. However, one of the things that I really heard back from everyone, well, one was it was very challenging for people. I only had 2 people actually post a video for me to give them feedback on. And what I hope to continue growing in the world of running or in the running community is that value you could place on yourself and how much more you could get out of your run if you had somebody helping you with your running form. And it's amazing, like people will go through any other movement, right? You go to a gym, you want to learn how to use the equipment, somebody shows you, you do spinning or cycling or whatever you do, someone shows you, but running, we just do it on our own. And then when it hurts, what do? We buy shoes. So one of the things I want to keep in your thoughts, of course, is to come in at any time you want into the RunRX Strong, check out our membership, have me look at your run, let me see your drills. But one of the things I heard back on top of that, which was, first of all, and I do get it, it is strange to see yourself on video. It's like watching yourself dance. And if I've never really looked at running as a movement, then it's very strange to initially look at your own run because maybe that's not how you thought you were moving. Which is, another fun thing with us is we have that quiz where you can take the quiz for free and kind of get an idea of maybe this is what I'm doing in my run and I didn't even realize it, right? So one of the things though that I got asked and I wanted to address today was if I could work on one thing the most, what would be the most important thing? Would it be the stretching? Would it be the, what is it? And of course my answer is going to be skill is number 1. Skill, strength, and self-care. You really need all 3, and there isn't a best one. However, if I continue to do the same base movement repeatedly, then that does become my run. So one of the fun things to remember is that we only have one job when we run, and there's only one running pose. So the more that I realize, my practice makes so much sense because when I stand in my pose, I'm standing and I'm holding balance. So my foot's getting stronger, my body's getting a little stronger, I'm gaining balance. This is my home, my happy place when I run. So again, I'm realizing how to release any extra tension. Like you realize if I'm standing here, and one of the things that's kind of fun is, what's my job? What's my action in my run, right? Is to pull my foot. So pull your foot. And there you are right back in the running pose. You're developing a blueprint, which you already have. We all have this great natural blueprint for your run. When we teach, we're using gravity. You pull your foot. You're always pulling your foot up to recover the running pose. And this is why you can practice in place with a band, on a treadmill, with a jump rope. So I brought a jump rope today. I'm going to see if I can be coordinated enough to do it in the rig. But I want to show you guys that if I'm always practicing my job in running, which is to hold my pose and pull, the challenge is going to stay this, because you're going to get stronger, you'll develop elasticity, balance, all these things that are only going to make you better, not just in running, but walking, moving, everything else, is to remember that how do we initiate the movement, right? We fall. And in the practice, I always tell people, in the beginning, it seems so strange, this whole concept of free falling, because no one talks about it. Yet, it's so important in our run, and it's not an action. So the only way you can get better at it is, one, to just think about it, which is fun and easy. Like when you're running, find a fall point. Remember, the gas pedal is from your hips. So again, why do we need strength? Well, it takes a lot of strength to hold my body like this. If I want to run longer, if I want to run faster, I have to be able to hold this for longer at a higher angle. So there's just a lot more I need, but it's only to hold my pose, right? It's not really to do any action, because if I release from my fall, what happens? I pull. And the pull, I'm only using what? Like 10% active muscle, but a lot of muscle elasticity. So what should I practice the most? Other than my pulls, which I need to be practicing, I really highly recommend continuing to add in elasticity. So many of us, when we run and we get an injury, usually it's from being on the ground too long. So again, usually everyone talks about heel striking, but we don't really care if you heel strike. It's the intent. If I'm trying to put my foot out, then I'm going to add impact, whether it's heel, side of foot, toe, it doesn't really matter. It's out ahead of you and you're landing, you're basically actively landing. So we want you to just let go of that, even that thought. And if you only practice, all I ever have to do is pull, then guess what? The other foot drops all by itself. So this is why I love these drills, and I like doing things like jump roping. So, but it's not the it. And that's what I got a lot of, like, what is the best? The other thing I got a lot of feedback on is my calves are really hurting. So I'm going to show you a calf stretch to help you with that, but also to recognize that the more I develop elasticity, then when I am running, all right, let's give this a shot. Hold on real quick. When I am running, I can see, oh, I'm so glad to hear that. See? Good. And if you're running in New York, you've got the cold weather coming. So all of this indoor practice is so nice. You can do your warm-up inside and then go out and brave the elements. All right, let's see. I got this. I did this right before I came on. But I want to show you something. You don't have to get a rope or anything. But just the simplicity of adding hopping to sense the rebound, what it feels like to actually rebound when I run is a new term. It's not a new term, but it's a new thought in your run. Most of us don't use, I'm only going to try this once. Most of us don't use, here we go, okay. So here I am, just using a jump rope for elasticity, and then watch. Up, 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 up. It just helps me to sense timing of the pull and to stay in my frame. Then the best part is you can let go of your rope, fall, and you can sense that same feeling then when you go for a run. Now you wouldn't want to run with a jump rope, it'd be exhausting, right? So if you've taken, part of what I wanted to show you with that is a lot of you, not a lot of you, but a few of you came back and said, wow, my calves are really tight. And yes, because right now when we're standing here, we're using a lot of muscle elasticity, but we're also using active muscle contractions because we're in place and we're going basically up and down. We want you to get and really feel comfortable with in place, yeah, jump roping, bouncing, all that's great. When you're running, that same pull, this is a loaded pull in place. When you're going forward, it's unloaded. So as you run, your feet should feel light and quick. Like, it's like a nothing. Tap, 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 tap. And the only way to do that is to work on that muscle elasticity. So that way when you're practicing your pulls and you're hopefully doing, I hope you continue at least doing, practice your pulls to pose, fall, feel the elasticity. Some of this stuff in the beginning feels very challenging and awkward. And so I commend you for trying it, and I understand why you wouldn't want to film it. But I'm telling you, the more you kind of connect with it, instead of thinking, what stretch should I do? I want to have you start to think, what skills should I work on? If I'm feeling tension in my calves, then what's going on? Well, maybe if you took the quiz, it'll help you to feel, maybe I'm pushing. So then when you run, you'll think more of pulling. Pull, up, 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 right? Because the more I think of the correct movement and action, then I will release all of these other unnecessary actions. Same thing, what if I'm feeling like pain in my shin or sound, anywhere in the front, hip, knee, IT band. Generally that's from I'm running, holding my shoulders back a little bit, I'm tense, and I'm kind of looking for the ground. So then I'm pulling after I land. Still pulling, but you're pulling and putting the foot down. So some of these injuries you don't know because you don't know what the movement error is. So the more you think about, the way to correct it is to think about the correct movement. So even just practicing in place, using a jump rope, just make sure you keep in mind, if it feels good right here, it should feel good it should feel even better when I take it and move it. Just remember that the only way you're going to be able to get comfortable with the movement is the basic, the day one of the reboot. Okay, and then I'll show you one thing for those calves. So if I'm feeling a lot of tension in my calves, it's probably, again, like I said, it's over pulling, it's pulling late, it's being bouncy instead of just allowing my body to fall, right? The only bouncy is in place. When you run, we want to get rid of the bounce. All right, one quick calf stretch, I'll let you go. By the way, I'm going to come on every Wednesday. I'm going to stay live and try to show one thing. So like today was elasticity and then a stretch, and I'm just taking it all from you guys, from your feedback. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to curl this back toe like this. Okay, if you can't put a lot of pressure on your knees, then you can stay in a lunge. Otherwise, do your other foot as well. So curling the toes under, and then I'm going to sit back. This is getting the bottom of my foot first. So if you have like heel pain, plantar pain, calf, you really want to start with the bottom of the foot because that's probably where it could be originating from. Again, I'm not diagnosing, but it happens quite a bit. So right there, then I want you to take your hands and walk yourself flat. So bring your feet flat. And if you struggle with this, then you could hold on to something, right? But you want to get to where you can hold completely flat. So this just gets the hips and it gets some stretching in the calf, a little mobility. Then just stand it all the way up and let yourself come forward. This gets all the way from my calf through to my hamstring. And none of these are, again, anything extra special, but it's the same thing. It's like if I'm consistent with those, it's amazing how much it helps. And the elasticity, right? And at the end of the day, like all of those little workouts in the reboot are like, what, 3 or 4 minutes? All of my drills are really short. It's just the consistency of doing them that really helps. So I'm glad to get some good feedback. Okay, I have a hard time not leaning back. Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you what, so when we first learn, you're either a banana, like we start to sit back. So I see a couple of things. So we call this the banana. This is the shopping cart, like I'm leaning or bending at the waist. And then my other favorite, this used to be me, by the way, was sitting in a chair. Because I was like, I am bending my knees. So then I was running and I was pulling, but I wasn't going anywhere. So this whole free fall thing, first of all, we should say, first we have to get over the fear of falling, which we should have a healthy respect for, because nobody really wants to trip and fall. So instead of thinking I need to step, instead of thinking I need to step really far away from the wall and just go for it, that's never going to be what you do. So I always say practice controlled fall, meaning I'm here, got both feet on the ground, and first I'm just really comfortable with just the sensation of what that feels like. Then graduate to doing it from the pose. And feel that I'm the one initiating the movement. I'm doing it. And then fall pull to that place. So watch it and get there. You don't have to have your arm up, but see I'm going, that's where I'm falling to. So then you can step back a little further and try like 2 or 3, right? And physically stopping yourself helps you to sense, oh, I was falling, right? So this, as weird as they seem in the beginning, I'm not kidding, it's a conversation you're having. So then when you run, this post or this wall is whatever you choose it to be, as far out as you want it to be. As you keep going, that's what you're always doing there. You're always having to connect with, I am falling, and pulling as a response. It's a conscious thing. So the fun part is as you continue, and the fun part is the awareness. Like you just said, I can feel I'm holding back. You see, like all of that, all of those things is part of that journey. And I can only say this over and over again, and that's why I keep coming on. The fun is the joy is in finding what running feels like. And if you're coming to us pain-free, we help you, of course, figure out what was it that caused the injury. It's not running. Running doesn't cause injuries. It's you were on the ground too long. Maybe you're pushing, maybe you're reaching, maybe you're late, maybe you're holding back. And then as you start to let that go and you start to just focus on what is running. Running is pulling my foot to recover the post so I can fall and keep going. But you have to go in that order, right? That sequence always has to be there. You're always pulling, right, to recover pose, and I can only fall from the pose. So that's why the drills are segmented, so you can exaggerate each element. Some of them are exaggerated pulling, some of them are just you free falling, some of you are just practicing the balance, but it's the, again, it's the consistency, and then having to do them all and put them together. But I keep saying fun, because I love to run, and I like the way running feels, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys, is it really can feel good, whatever you want to wear or run in, or where you want to run. So keep the questions coming, and I'm going to try to maybe, like I said, I'm going to answer what people go with. Like the last feedback I got was about the calves. So I wanted to really put it in your mind that if my calves are talking to me, they're saying, hey, I'm working a little bit too hard. But one of the ways I can make sure they work less is to make sure I work on my elasticity and then letting go of them when I run. So of course you can stretch, but the elasticity and skill is there. All right, yeah, absolutely. By the way, it only gets better, I promise. All right, thank you so much. I will see you next week. Like I said, keep the questions coming, and you can always start the reboot whenever you want to. And again, if you want to come on and take the quiz, come on to runrxquiz.com. Thank you, guys.